Worry has become a constant companion for many people today. We worry about tomorrow, about our families, about our finances, about our health, and about what lies ahead. Some of you are lying awake at night, replaying the past and fearing the future. Yet worry has never solved a single problem. It has never added a day to your life, and never brought peace to your heart, and never changed God's plan. God never intended His children to live in fear. When we worry, we are often trying to control what only God can handle. We look at our circumstances and forget who God is. But the same God who guided you through yesterday is already standing in your tomorrow. He sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. And He is at work even when you do not understand what He is doing. Life moves in seasons. There are seasons of growth and seasons of waiting, seasons of joy and seasons of pain. Some seasons feel full of promise, while others feel like silence. Yet every season has a purpose in God's plan. Nothing in your life is wasted when it is placed in His hands. Even the delays, the disappointments, and the closed doors are part of His preparation for what comes next. Many people fear change because they do not know what the next season holds. But God does not ask you to understand the plan. He asks you to trust the planner. Faith does not mean you will have all the answers. Faith means you believe God is faithful even when the path is unclear. When you release your worries to Him, you make room for His peace to guard your heart. Worry has become so common that many people accept it as a normal part of life. It settles quietly into the mind, replaying the same fears over and over again, convincing the heart that constant anxiety is somehow necessary for survival. People worry about tomorrow, about money, about health, about family, and about decisions they have not even made yet. Yet despite how familiar worry feels, it has never solved a single problem. It has never changed an outcome, fixed a mistake, or secured the future. Instead, it drains strength, clouds judgment, and robs the soul of peace. Worry gives the illusion of control. It makes people feel as though thinking harder or stressing more will somehow prevent bad things from happening. But worry cannot rewrite the past or predict the future. It only magnifies fear and keeps the mind trapped in uncertainty. While concern can prompt wise action, worry goes beyond wisdom and becomes a burden. It focuses on what might happen instead of trusting God with what will happen. In doing so, it shifts attention away from faith and toward fear. One of the greatest dangers of worry is how quietly it steals joy. A person may have food on the table, loved ones around them, and opportunities ahead, yet still feel restless and unsettled. Worry whispers that something is missing or that disaster is just around the corner. Over time, this constant tension affects the heart, the body, and the spirit. It leads to exhaustion, discouragement, and a sense of helplessness. Instead of motivating progress, worry often paralyzes, making people hesitant to move forward or trust God's guidance. Worry also distorts perspective. It causes people to focus on problems rather than possibilities, obstacles rather than opportunities. When worry dominates the mind, even small challenges feel overwhelming. It becomes difficult to remember past victories or recognize how God has already provided and protected. Fear begins to speak louder than faith, and doubts begin to overshadow hope. In this state, people forget that God has carried them through difficulties before and will remain faithful again. Another reason worry is so destructive is that it competes with trust. Trust requires surrender, while worry insists on control. Trust rests in the belief that God is sovereign and good, while worry questions whether He can be trusted with the future. Yet God never asked his children to carry the weight of tomorrow. He invites them to place their concerns in his hands, knowing that he is wiser, stronger, and more faithful than human understanding. When worry is released, peace begins to take its place. Peace does not mean the absence of problems, but the presence of confidence in God's care. It allows the heart to rest even when circumstances are uncertain. Letting go of worry is not weakness, it is an act of faith. It acknowledges that God sees what we cannot see and is working in ways we do not understand. By choosing trust over worry, the heart becomes lighter, the mind clearer, and the soul anchored in the assurance that God remains in control, regardless of what the future holds. One of the greatest comforts in times of uncertainty is the truth that God is already in your tomorrow. While you are standing in the present, trying to make sense of what lies ahead, God is not limited by time or circumstance. He sees the end from the beginning and understands every detail of your life before it unfolds. Nothing surprises him. No sudden change, unexpected loss, or delayed answer catches him off guard. What feels uncertain to you is already known to him, and that truth alone brings deep reassurance to a worried heart. Many people live as though the future is a dark, unknown place filled with danger and fear. They imagine worst-case scenarios and allow those fears to shape their decisions today. But when you understand that God is already present in your future, fear begins to lose its grip. God does not wait for tomorrow to arrive in order to act. He is already working ahead of you. He is preparing paths you have not yet walked, arranging circumstances you cannot yet see, and aligning people and opportunities according to his purpose. Because God is already in your tomorrow, you can trust him with today. You do not have to figure everything out or carry the weight of future decisions on your own. God guides step by step, not all at once. He provides strength for today and grace for the moment you are in. When tomorrow comes, he will be there too, just as faithful and present as he is now. This allows you to live with peace instead of pressure, knowing that you are not walking into the unknown alone. Understanding this truth also changes how you view setbacks and delays. What may feel like a closed door today could be God protecting you from something you cannot see yet. What seems like a delay may actually be divine timing at work. God sees the full picture while you see only a single moment. His perspective is complete and his plans are purposeful. Trusting that he is already in your tomorrow helps you remain patient when answers do not come immediately. When fear tries to rise, remembering God's presence in the future helps anchor your faith. He has carried you through difficult seasons before, and he will do it again. The same God who sustained you in past struggles is already preparing the strength you will need for what lies ahead. He does not abandon his children halfway through their journey. His faithfulness does not expire, and his promises do not change with circumstances. Living with the assurance that God is already in your tomorrow brings freedom. It frees you from constant anxiety, from the need to control outcomes, and from the pressure of perfection. You can move forward with confidence, even when the path is unclear, because God is guiding your steps. When you trust that your future is secure in his hands, fear is replaced with hope, and uncertainty gives way to peace. Life unfolds in seasons, and each one carries its own purpose under God's design. Just as nature moves through cycles of planting, growth, harvest, and rest, human life follows a similar rhythm. There are seasons filled with joy and momentum, when prayers seem to be answered quickly and progress feels visible. There are also seasons of waiting, struggle, and uncertainty, when forward movement appears slow and God seems silent, yet no season is accidental. Each one is carefully allowed and used by God to shape, prepare, and strengthen His people. Many people become discouraged when they enter a difficult season. They assume something has gone wrong or that God has withdrawn His favor. But seasons are not signs of abandonment, they are tools of development. Growth rarely happens in comfort alone. Just as roots grow deeper in times of drought, faith is often strengthened most in seasons of hardship. God uses these moments to build endurance, refine character, and teach dependence on Him rather than on circumstances. Waiting seasons are especially challenging. When prayers go unanswered and doors remain closed, it is easy to feel forgotten. Yet waiting is not wasted time. God often works most powerfully behind the scenes when nothing seems to be happening on the surface. He is aligning circumstances, preparing hearts, and shaping outcomes that will be revealed in the right time. What feels like delay is often divine preparation. God understands timing better than anyone, and His timing is always purposeful. Seasons of change can also bring fear. Transition requires letting go of what is familiar and stepping into the unknown. Even positive change can feel unsettling because it challenges comfort and routine. But God uses transitions to move His people forward. He does not keep them in one place forever. Each season leads to the next, and God remains faithful through every transition. Trusting Him during these moments allows fear to give way to hope. Joyful seasons also have purpose. They are not meant to be taken for granted, but to strengthen faith and build gratitude. Times of blessing remind people of God's goodness and faithfulness. They serve as testimonies to carry into future seasons, providing confidence when challenges arise. God uses seasons of abundance to prepare hearts for seasons of testing, just as He uses seasons of testing to deepen appreciation for seasons of blessing. Understanding that life moves in seasons brings peace. It reminds us that current circumstances are not permanent. Painful seasons will not last forever, and joyful seasons should be cherished while they remain. God is sovereign over every phase of life, and He walks with His people through them all. When this truth is embraced, discouragement begins to fade. Instead of resisting a season or fearing what comes next, the heart learns to trust that God is at work in every stage. Each season has meaning, and every step forward is guided by a faithful God who never wastes a moment of the journey. Faith is often misunderstood as having complete clarity or certainty about the future, but true faith operates in a very different way. It does not require full understanding or perfect knowledge of what lies ahead. Instead, faith is the willingness to trust God even when the path is unclear and the answers are incomplete. Many people hesitate to move forward because they want every detail explained in advance, yet God rarely works that way. He invites His children to walk by trust, not by sight, relying on His character rather than their own understanding. Human nature desires control. People want to know how situations will unfold, how long struggles will last, and what the final outcome will be. When these answers are missing, fear and doubt often take hold. But faith grows strongest in moments of uncertainty. It teaches the heart to rest in the belief that God is faithful, even when circumstances appear confusing or overwhelming. Trusting God without full understanding means believing that He knows what He is doing, even when His ways do not make sense to us. Throughout life, there are moments when decisions must be made without clear direction or visible results. In these moments, faith becomes a choice rather than a feeling. It is choosing to believe that God's plan is good, even when the road is difficult. This kind of faith requires humility, acknowledging that human wisdom is limited and that God's perspective is far greater. By releasing the need to fully understand, the heart becomes open to God's guidance and peace. Faith also involves patience. God often reveals His plan step by step, providing just enough light for the next move rather than the entire journey. This teaches dependence on Him rather than self-reliance. Each step taken in faith strengthens trust and builds confidence in God's faithfulness. Over time, believers begin to recognize that God has been leading them all along, even in moments when they felt unsure or afraid. Trusting God without full understanding does not mean ignoring wisdom or responsibility. It means placing ultimate confidence in God rather than in human reasoning. When faith replaces fear, anxiety loses its power. The heart learns to remain calm even when circumstances are unsettled. This peace does not come from having all the answers, but from knowing the one who does. Living by faith transforms how challenges are faced. Instead of being paralyzed by uncertainty, believers move forward with confidence that God is working behind the scenes. They learn that unanswered questions do not indicate God's absence, but often signal His deeper work. Faith allows them to endure trials with hope, trusting that God's purposes will be revealed in time. When faith is practiced this way, life takes on new meaning. The journey becomes less about control and more about trust. Each moment becomes an opportunity to rely on God's strength rather than human understanding. By trusting God without full understanding, the heart discovers freedom from fear and learns to rest in the assurance that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should, guided by wisdom, love, and perfect timing. Delays and closed doors are often the most misunderstood parts of the journey of faith. When progress seems slow or opportunities suddenly disappear, it is natural to feel disappointed, confused, or even rejected. Many people assume that a closed door means failure or that a delay is a sign that God is saying no. Yet in God's plan, delays and closed doors are rarely signs of denial. More often, they are instruments of preparation, protection, and redirection for what lies ahead. God sees what we cannot see. While we focus on what we want now, God looks at the full picture, the long-term outcome, the unseen consequences, and the future impact of every decision. A door that looks promising to us may lead to harm, distraction, or unnecessary pain. When God closes that door, He is not withholding something good. He is shielding us from something that does not belong in our future. What feels like loss in the moment may actually be mercy in disguise. Delays serve a similar purpose. Waiting can be frustrating, especially when prayers seem unanswered and progress feels stalled. But waiting is not inactivity in God's economy. During seasons of delay, God is often working more deeply within us than around us. He uses waiting to refine character, strengthen faith, and teach patience. Many blessings would overwhelm us if they arrived too soon. God prepares the person before He delivers the promise. What you are becoming in the waiting season is just as important as what you are praying for. Closed doors also redirect our steps. Sometimes God shuts one path so that we will notice another we would have otherwise ignored. If everything always worked according to our plans, we might never discover God's greater purpose. Redirection can feel painful at first because it requires letting go of expectations. But God's redirection is always intentional. He leads His people where they need to go, not merely where they want to go. These moments test trust. It is easy to trust God when doors are opening and prayers are answered quickly. But faith deepens when trust remains steady even when plans fall apart. In those moments, God invites us to believe that He is still good, still faithful, and still in control. Closed doors challenge us to surrender control and acknowledge that God's wisdom surpasses our understanding. Looking back, many people realize that the delays they once resented were necessary, and the doors they begged God to open would have led them away from His best. God's protection is not always comfortable, but it is always loving. He knows the timing that will bring the greatest growth and the outcome that will bring Him the most glory, and us the greatest good. When delays and closed doors are viewed through the lens of faith, discouragement gives way to trust. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, we begin to recognize them as evidence of God's careful guidance. Preparation is happening even when progress is not visible. Protection is taking place even when disappointment is felt. And in time, what once seemed like rejection will be revealed as divine direction, leading into a season far greater than we could have planned on our own. Worry has a way of narrowing our vision until all we can see is the problem in front of us. When anxiety takes hold, it magnifies difficulties and makes them appear larger than they truly are. The mind begins to rehearse worst-case scenarios, and the heart becomes weighed down by fear. In these moments, attention slowly shifts away from God and settles entirely on the pressure of the situation. What once seemed manageable now feels overwhelming, not because the problem has changed, but because our focus has. When worry dominates, it reshapes how we think and respond. Decisions become driven by fear rather than faith. Instead of asking what God is doing, we ask what could go wrong. Instead of trusting His promises, we analyze every possible outcome. This constant mental strain leaves little room for peace. The heart becomes restless, and the soul loses its sense of direction. Worry convinces us that the burden is ours alone to carry, even though God has promised to help and sustain us. Trust, on the other hand, changes everything. When we choose to trust God, our focus shifts from the problem to the provider. The situation may remain difficult, but our perspective is transformed. We begin to remember who God is, faithful, powerful, and present. Trust reminds us that God has handled greater challenges before and has never failed. By placing confidence in Him, fear loses its authority and peace begins to return. Trust does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems do not exist. It means acknowledging the problem while believing that God is greater than it. Trust allows us to confront challenges with confidence rather than panic. It anchors the heart in the assurance that God is in control, even when circumstances seem chaotic. This kind of peace is not dependent on outcomes. It is rooted in the character of God. Worry isolates us in our struggles, making us feel alone and overwhelmed. Trust reconnects us with God's presence and promises. When we trust Him, we invite His guidance, wisdom, and strength into the situation. Instead of carrying the burden alone, we place it in His hands. This act of surrender is not weakness, it is a declaration of faith. It says that we believe God is capable, even when we feel incapable. As trust grows, peace follows. This peace is not temporary relief, but a deep assurance that settles the heart. It guards the mind against fear and steadies the soul in uncertain times. Even when answers are delayed or outcomes are unclear, trust allows us to remain calm and hopeful. It frees us from the constant pressure of trying to control what we cannot change. Choosing trust over worry is a daily decision. Each time fear tries to rise, we can redirect our focus back to God. Over time, this practice reshapes the heart. Problems no longer dominate our thoughts, and peace becomes a steady companion. By focusing on the provider rather than the pressure, We discover that God's peace is always available, ready to replace worry with confidence and fear with faith. God's plan is never random or accidental. Every step, every pause, and every turning point in life is known to Him long before it unfolds. While circumstances may appear chaotic or confusing from a human perspective, God is always working with intention and purpose. He does not act on impulse or react to situations after they happen. Instead, He carefully weaves each moment into a greater design that reflects His wisdom, love, and sovereignty. Often, people judge God's plan based on what they can see in the moment. When progress is visible and blessings are evident, it is easy to believe that God is at work. But when life feels uncertain or difficult, doubts begin to arise. Yet God's purpose is not limited to visible success or immediate results. He is shaping hearts, building character, and preparing His people for responsibilities and blessings they may not yet be ready to carry. What feels like a detour is often a vital part of the journey. God uses every experience, both joyful and painful, to accomplish His purpose. Success can teach gratitude and humility, while hardship can develop perseverance and trust. Even mistakes and failures are not beyond God's ability to redeem. When surrendered to Him, He can transform setbacks into stepping stones. Nothing is wasted when placed in God's hands. Every trial becomes an opportunity for growth, and every delay becomes a lesson in patience and faith. The intentional nature of God's plan also means that timing matters. God's timing is precise, not early and not late. While people often feel rushed or pressured to move ahead, God operates according to perfect timing. He knows when hearts are ready, when circumstances are aligned, and when the moment is right. Trusting His timing requires patience, but it also brings peace. It allows believers to rest in the knowledge that God is in control and that He is never behind schedule. God's plan extends beyond individual circumstances. He often uses people to bless others, to offer encouragement, or to fulfill purposes greater than they realize. A season of struggle may later become a source of strength and comfort for someone else. Experiences that once seemed painful or pointless can later serve as testimonies of God's faithfulness. In this way, God's plan reaches further than personal comfort and touches lives beyond our own. Understanding that God's plan is intentional changes how life is approached. Instead of reacting with fear or frustration, believers can respond with trust and hope. They can move forward with confidence, knowing that God is guiding each step. Even when the path is unclear, faith rests in the certainty that God knows the way. His plan is not built on chance, but on purpose. Every moment is guided by His wisdom, and every outcome is shaped by His love. When this truth is embraced, life becomes a journey of trust rather than anxiety, anchored in the assurance that God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. The greatest step a person can take in life is to receive God's gift. Christmas celebrates the arrival of Jesus, the ultimate gift from God, freely offered to all. Yet the gift does not fulfill its purpose unless it is personally accepted. It is not enough to admire the story or to acknowledge that God has given something precious. Each individual must make a conscious choice to receive what God offers. Faith is not passive, it requires an intentional response of the heart, a willingness to trust, and an openness to transformation. Receiving God's gift begins with recognition. It requires admitting that life cannot be perfected by human effort alone and acknowledging the need for God's intervention. People often rely on their own strength, wisdom, or resources, attempting to control circumstances and secure their own future. While effort and responsibility are important, They cannot replace the redemption and restoration that God provides. Recognizing the need for God is the first step toward embracing His gift and allowing it to transform the heart and life. Acceptance also involves faith. Faith is more than believing in God's existence. It is trusting His promises, His character, and His plan. It is the assurance that what God offers is sufficient, that His love is unfailing, and that His guidance is perfect. Trusting in God's gift means believing that Jesus' life, death, and resurrection are the solution to humanity's greatest problem: sin and separation from God. Faith embraces what cannot be fully seen or understood, relying on the certainty of God's faithfulness rather than human perception. Receiving God's gift requires surrender. This surrender is not a loss, but a conscious decision to place life in God's hands. It means letting go of pride, self-reliance, and the illusion of control. Surrender opens the heart to the power of God's presence and allows His grace to work within. While it may feel uncomfortable at first, surrender is an act of trust that leads to freedom. It transforms fear into courage, doubt into confidence, and uncertainty into peace. The gift of God brings transformation. When received, it reshapes priorities, strengthens character, and renews purpose. Forgiveness replaces guilt, hope replaces despair, and love replaces bitterness. The gift also extends outward, enabling individuals to reflect God's grace, mercy, and kindness to others. Acceptance of this gift is not merely a personal blessing. It is a call to live in a way that honors God and shares His love with the world. Finally, receiving God's gift turns Christmas from a historical event into a living reality. It moves the focus from celebration to relationship, from admiration to participation. Every person has the opportunity to step into the story, to experience forgiveness, and to embrace new life. Choosing to receive this gift